So I'm going to keep it in the gallery view for now. So first of all, I just want to say I'm so thrilled you're all here. It's truly like a reunion. And for me, because I'm sort of, I am the center wheel of this particular gathering, it's like all these different parts of my life are here. And I just want to say thank you so much. Um, I also want to mark that today, I didn't plan it this way, it just happened, but Thursday seemed like a good day. It happens to be January 6th. And I want to acknowledge what this day is in the bigger context, not just last year, but this is in the Christian tradition. It's the 12 days after Christmas that Jesus is presented to the Magi, which are the three wise men. And I find it so interesting that a year ago, the whole Capitol riot attack on democracy really happened on this particular date. And we are living through such a transformative time. Like we all feel it. We're living through this pandemic that is changing how we engage. It's changing who we are. It's making us prioritize what we want to do and how we want to live. And, we're also seeing people die and get really sick. And it's sort of like there is no time like now, right? So I just want to acknowledge, it's called the Feast of the Epiphany. And I never really knew that. I grew up Catholic, which you'll hear. And it feels like a calling to me towards the light, that we are all being called towards our own light and to bloom into the purpose and the reason for our own being on the planet, and to spread our own light, whatever form that is supposed to be in. And so this book truly is that for me. It is my sort of like this offering to the world of my own journey. And I want to talk about the process of how it was birthed. I think most of you know I had COVID last year, and I had 6 months where I just really couldn't do anything. It took me down really hard, especially with my lungs. And I had a lot of reflection time and a lot of time to literally sit around and think and ponder. And I've always been a writer, and I have wanted to write this particular book for about 5 or 6 years. And the format of the book is 108 short vignettes, and they're of my life. They're very personal stories, but as I have shared them with friends, and as I see them, they're deeply personal, and yet they're very universal. And so the friends that I've shared them with, because I've sort of had readers along the way, one of my main readers is here, and she's like, oh yeah, I can so relate to this. So I see this book as a book you can open anywhere and just read a story. And I'm a little ADD. It's like I have a really hard time reading a long book. So I like the short story. It's like, oh, okay, I can literally read 500 words and put it down and be happy and content. And that's the format of this book. And then 108 stories is based on the mala beads in a Buddhist mala. And the mala is akin to the rosary beads for the Catholics. And they're meditation beads where, you meditate and you hold the mala and you move bead to bead to bead to bead. And so these stories, I feel like, are the beads for pause and reflection, offering whatever they offer, but mainly moving into ownership of all the pieces of oneself, and then the present moment. Like, how do we get to the present moment? I also want to say it takes a village for all of us to become ourselves. We, and you certainly for me, have helped me become myself. And I know I've threaded through various lives here in different ways: friendships, yoga teaching, art, dance, travel, dinner parties, all these different kinds of ways that we've connected. And we are all the students and the teachers at once, whether we're friends, whether we're colleagues, whether we're acquaintances. There's this constant play of student teacher. And I think of this with, today you're listening, but we're all storytellers and we're all listeners. And so I offer these stories, and I'm so grateful for you as witness and listener to these stories. So today, the structure is going to be that, I'm doing this little intro, and then I'll read a selection of stories for you. It's hard to choose. So Anne, if you're out there and you're like, oh, you should read that one. Well, I don't know if I'll have it ready because I printed the ones that I'm going to read. But oh, there's Jeff Tawney. I get to see your face. Nice. That I invite you to sit back, be super comfortable. I'm interested in, how they land. If you have questions that come up or reflections, like this by far is not a done book in any shape or form, but I feel like this is an opportunity to come together and converse and, be together in a creative process. So with that said, I will begin, and I'm gonna I just have to take one more little look at all of you. Like, yes. Oh, there's Lorette. Hello. Okay, just have to see. And now I'm gonna put it on speaker. Okay. So here is the introduction to the book, and this gives you context for these stories. I come from fish on Fridays, rosaries and confession, divorce and death. I come from polite behavior and appropriateness. I am from linen napkins, a well-set table and thank you notes, from heartache and heart disease, cocktails and cigarettes, the occasional bender. I am from a free spirit, a brilliant mind, a tortured soul. I come from deadlines, stories written on the underwood, absence and longing, white lies, and church on Sundays. I've patched and pieced together bits of my past to try and make sense of life. I've been stitching myself back together over a lifetime, searching for truth, wanting to understand where I'm from, wanting to know the stories of my ancestors, wanting to know the clay I've been shaped from. Mine has been a life lived on the tightrope of longing for a father who died too soon, died of a heart attack in the London airport on his way to visit 2 days before my 7th birthday. That is the story my life has rested on and been shaped by. He didn't make it to the birthday party. His absence left a huge void. I've traveled far and wide to heal the heartache and longing. I've looked for ways to soothe the pain, make me feel worthy, to find contentment and joy. Now, at the precipice of turning 60, I see that what I've been chasing out there is right here in front of me, in my own backyard, right here as I sit in this chair, right here, right now. What I've been chasing is contentment and some semblance of inner peace, ways to create my own joy. I've chosen 108 stories of my own life to share, stringing together 108 moments, moments that feel like turning points, moments when doors opened to growth, gave me insight, or helped me own that disowned piece of myself. I view each of these stories as a bead in the mala, offering a moment to pause and reflect. While these stories are deeply personal, they are also universal. They represent the breadth of human experience, love, loss, and all the in-between. Mine is not a special story. It is one story of one woman seeking wholeness. I hope as you read this book that you laugh, cry, are curious, and mostly that you feel how we are more alike than not, all of us. We seek love, we want to avoid pain. We are brilliant and we make mistakes, hurt ourselves and other people. We are perfectly imperfect, and that presence and forgiveness are the key ingredients to contentment. Okay, so there's your context, and I'm going to start with 2 father stories. I heard a voice last night and it told me the truth in just a few words. It said, He didn't mean to leave you or let you down, or anyone else for that matter. He was committed to his own destiny, to find truth, to be on the road, committed to something bigger than his own understanding. He didn't mean to let anyone down, you or your mother. He was on a mission to bear witness to this world, write stories, travel to foreign lands, cover wars, talk to heads of state, write Pulitzer Prize-winning articles for the Los Angeles Times. I often imagine him in his bolo hat, standing in some phone booth in a faraway land, a reporter's skinny notebook in hand, calling in his stories to the Times. I see him on the other end of the line, speaking each sentence into the phone to be transcribed and sent to print. I imagine him leaning against the glass wall of the phone booth, white cotton sleeves rolled up, a half-smoked cigarette dangling from his lips, like he's forgotten he's smoking because he's so enraptured in the story he's telling. Adrenaline pumps through his body. Time is short, and he has to catch a bus to the next destination, pronto. No, he didn't mean to leave his first wife in the lurch or not be home for his three children's birthdays, miss their plays, report cards, soccer games, or ballet recitals. He simply could not answer the call of his own wild heart, his need to spread his wings and soar in this world. Tonight, I get it. I feel it myself here in India, and how I am more like him than not. His blood courses through my veins, that wild blood that doesn't want to be tamed or shamed, claimed or framed. It is in this moment I find a deep love for this man I never really knew, the one I longed for my entire life, the one who most likely would not have been at my 5th grade show where I played Madame Curie, or been there to see I won the pumpkin carving contest by turning my pumpkin into a gray elephant with a long trunk. No, he would not have been there. But now across the globe in India, decades later, I see how I am cut from his cloth. I am a journalist of the inner world, here to understand the twisty, winding roads of the heart, what makes it soar, what pulverizes it to pieces and breaks it so it can grow bigger, to hold more. I am here to document the journey to wholeness through life's messy alleyways, cluttered with expectations, disappointments, projections, demands, and conditional loving, and how to clear that clutter. Yes, I am cut from his cloth. Curiosity lives in my marrow, living my own destiny is etched in my bones. So this next piece, next father. We sit together in the mid-century beige chairs, the ones they chose after the Oakland fire reduced their house to ashes and consumed their antique furniture, oriental rugs, heirlooms, photos, letters, any scrap of family history. I'm still on a quest to know more about this man I've called Dad since I was 7, this man who for years I looked at as a stand-in father, not my father, not the one I would have chosen. He was chosen for me, and over years I learned to love him instead of longing for the one who was gone. In my last few visits, I've asked him about his life as a young person. I wanted to know more about his first love, if he did anything scandalous as a young man, what he'd hoped for in life, and any insights he might want to offer about the journey. Today we sit looking out over Lake Merritt. I gently nudge him to tell me more, but he is like an oyster shell that won't open. His swollen arms are twice the size they would normally be. He wears compression bands all the way up the forearms over the elbows. His legs, too, are filled with fluid. Just getting dressed is a chore. I try a different tactic to engage. How are you feeling, Dad? To which he looks at me, raises an eyebrow, and shrugs his shoulder as if to say, how do you think I feel? Like crap. Every day it's a major pain in the ass to just get up out of bed, put on all these compression bands, then find clothes to put over my wrinkly, old, disintegrating body that is just so tired. I infer all of this from his look. I let go. He doesn't want to talk. I finally get it. This is the end of the road of getting any more information out of this man. So we sit, and I realize it's enough to sit together, look out at the lake, watch the clouds change form. This is enough. It reminds me of when I first met him when I was 6. Mom and I had left my dad in London and were living in Washington, D.C. She was working for the Smithsonian. She and Carl had been set up on a blind date by mutual friends in California. He was visiting and he took me to the National Zoo. I liked him. He was quiet. He didn't try so hard for me to like him, like the man Mom dated who brought me stuffed animals every time he came over, George. I didn't like George. He wanted something. He wanted me to like him. Carl was content just being, not talking. We rode the bus home from the zoo that day and I fell asleep and rested my head on his shoulder. I liked him. He just let me be. So now I will let him be. We'll sit, breathe, watch clouds together. Okay, so moving to from that. So that there's the, sort of the crux of what I've been chewing on my life is this father thing. And I've had a little anxiety in my life. So here is the next piece. Here we go. I chase crumbs on counters with sponges, lint on floors with feather dusters, vacuums, rags, polish are my tools to ward off the flit and flutter of anxiety in my belly. I still believe cleaning and clearing my closet of excess will result in some semblance of calm. I notice all bits of dust, dirt, grime, and hairballs in corners of rooms. Oh my. I ceaselessly scour away soap scum from my tub, from the sink, brush my toilet bowl so it sparkles snow white. I'm a busy bee buzzing about, flitting from feeling to feeling, hoping to settle, to relax, to trust. Cleaning is my Xanax. When I feel the flutter of my stomach, because I'm swirling around in a rascal-ridden thought process, I get out my rags, my sponges, my vacuum. I scour away the feeling that my friend might be mad at me. For what? I don't know. For me being me? Not calling often enough? For some way I didn't show up the way she wanted me to? I don't know. For all my fabricated reasons, I suppose. I vacuum away the fears of becoming homeless, fantasies that I won't make enough money to live, to support myself, will eventually lose everything because I'm not cut out for the 9 to 5. I suck up those feelings with each hairball, each crumb on the floor. When thoughts begin to fester like infected wounds, those thoughts of not really being good enough at what I do to make a real living, or that I've wasted my time, my life, pushing color around on a canvas or writing little ditties, I get down on the kitchen floor with a toothbrush and scrub the brown tinge that's collected in the grout until it sparkles white. Or when I want to scream at the top of my lungs that I hate my husband because I can't seem to control him to be who I want him to be and do what I want him to do because, well, he's his own person. I dive deeper and clean out the gooey, hairy gunk caught in the P-trap of the bathroom sink. It's so satisfying. It's also immediate, this ability to make things better by cleaning. At least that is within my control. So I think of it as my prescription drug that leaves me with a clean house, a calmer mind, and a moment of trust. Okay, moving into a little Catholic piece. When the priest holds the host up over his head and says, "Do this in memory of me," I think, well, I don't even know your name. How can I do that? I don't realize he's speaking in Jesus's name. I'm 8. It's confusing. How does the flat white host held up high become the body of Christ? And then the wine becomes his blood. It's all a little gross, if you ask me. It feels far-fetched, like the virgin birth. How did Jesus come out of Mary if she's never had sex? At 10 years old, I now understand that people have to have had sex to have a child. That's how it works. And why are all the priests men? That's what I want to know. I decide I want to be the priest. So I ask my parents if I can say Mass in the backyard on Sunday. I have a friend visiting from out of town, and she will be my altar girl. They say yes. I'm so excited. I get right down to planning. I know all the parts of the Mass, the 2 readings, the gospel, the homily, the prayers, and then the Eucharist, that part where the host and wine become the body and blood of Christ. I look up the reading for the week and get them ready, but I'm most excited about making hosts for communion. I find the Wonder Bread in our fridge, flatten it as best I can, and make little round discs. I love that I get to be the priest. Today's the day. It's Sunday, it's May, and we live in Denver, so the weather is nice out, if a little nippy. The irises have bloomed and the garden is green with spring splendor. I've created a beautiful altar with a white tablecloth. A glamorous wine glass sits at its center next to a plate filled with homemade communion hosts. Candles adorn either end of the table. I've lined up chairs for my parents to sit in comfortably during Mass, and they take their seats and the ritual begins. My friend and I process in from the house, making our way to the altar. As altar girl, she lights the candles at either end of the table, and I turn to my parents and say, "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit." Then I hold up the Bible in the air and continue, "The Lord be with you." "And with you," they respond. "Let us give thanks to the Lord our God," I continue. "It is right to give him thanks and praise," they respond. I easily move through the parts of the Mass, leading my parents through the prayers, the readings, offer a homily. I invite them to extend a hand of peace to each other, and finally ask them to come up to receive communion, my favorite part. As each of them comes up, I find the priest within again as I offer them the host, the body of Christ, I say, and then offer the wine glass filled with grape juice, the blood of Christ. "Amen," they respond. As we conclude, I offer the final words, "Go in peace," I say. I see each of them cross themselves, head to chest, shoulder to shoulder, and with that, I walk out and up the aisle with my altar girl in tow. I love being the priest. Okay, and continuing on with our Catholic theme. Sorry. I'm in 9th grade in Mr. Sasso's class. He's a lay teacher in our Catholic school. I've never really understood why they call them lay teachers. He's just blown up a condom like a balloon and is batting it around the classroom. How many of you think masturbation is not a normal thing to do? He asks. I am so certain of my answer. I shoot my hand up in the air, expecting the rest of the class to do the same. I mean, my hand is up in a nanosecond, straight up, erect, proud, until I see mine is only one of two hands raised. In a flash of awareness, I realize not only do I feel the heat of embarrassment rising, worse, shame spread through me like wildfire, but suddenly I am aware that everyone in the room must be doing it. To think it's normal, and clearly I am not doing it. Because isn't that what they've been telling us for years? Don't touch yourself down there in the hinterlands where pleasurable sensations vibrate between your legs when you ride your bike, or when that boy, the one we call the flag as a code name, walks by. Isn't that the memo they've been passing around from underneath the wimple the nuns wear that cover their hair and heads like some medieval garment? Didn't they say we'd go to hell if we did that? And God forbid any activity with anyone else before you get married. I glance around the silent room, suddenly outed for my archaic thoughts, the ones I bought hook, line, and sinker, and wished the floor would open up and swallow me into the bowels of the earth. But no, Mr. Sasso saunters up to my desk, my head already hanging like Jesus on the cross. Please no, please no, please just go away. Just ignore me. Please, God, make him go away, I say quietly to myself. Diane, so why do you think it's not normal to masturbate? Really? Really? I want to scream at him, because you people have been telling us that for years. I've been in Catholic school getting indoctrinated for 10 years already. Why would I not think that? But that is not what I say. I mumble something inept like, I don't know, just is. As I get as small as I can, wishing I were Alice in Wonderland, able to drop into the rabbit hole. My entire body posture tells him to get away from me. You've humiliated me in front of my peers, and I will have to live this out forever. Does he have any idea what he's done? The rest of class is a blur. I remember nothing. So clearly I'm giving you the setup. So here's the next piece. The shots of tequila and beer chasers make my brain cells blurry, my resolution weak. I'm wearing my own white sheet for the toga party fashioned after Animal House. It's the Friday night of parents' weekend. I'm a freshman. You hold my hand in yours, the one that in the future will hold dental tools and pry people's mouths wide open. Weeks earlier, you slid your fingers inside me at the lakeside. It felt good, I think. But tonight, on our floor after the toga party, your roommates in the next room snoring, beer brains on pillows, it is squeaky springs and one sheet prodding and jamming. I am a Catholic girl. I've been told to never even touch myself down there in the vast canyon between my legs, the place where electricity sets off sparks, riding bicycles or horses. But tonight, there are no sparks or electrical circuits going haywire. No, tonight with you is in and out, no easy, slippery, sizzling New Year's Eve explosion feeling I'd experience later in life. And as fast as we decided to do it, it's over. And you lie next to me motionless. As you sleep, A tsunami of guilt pulses through me, and all I can think is that I've crossed over in a flicker of an eyelash. I walk to my room at the other end of the floor, dragging my sheet, tail between my legs. My head hangs as if in penance, and I cry myself to sleep, sure the entire world and God knows I'm not a virgin anymore. All right, so we're going to move a little farther along in the journey of life. And this moves me right into the 40s, into my 40s. So here we go. He tells me it's probably hormonal. Never a good thing to tell a hormonal woman who's perimenopausal and doesn't see it yet. Just never. And it's never about the laundry or who takes the dogs out or if the bed was made or not. It's about getting this cyclone, this tornado of energy, these feelings of wanting to maim or kill someone out of my body. I spew shattered shards of glass from my mouth at him in the form of pointed and castigating words. He points a missile finger towards me. The kitchen war escalates. The dogs cower. I know I'm right. I know I'm right about whatever it was, which I can't remember now. I know he's wrong. Oh, it's time to leave, step away. I take myself to a cafe in town, sit down at the end of the 6-person table and begin to write. Then I see them. The grain at the temples man in his white linen shirt, latte in hand, and his ebony-skinned friend with a scone and coffee. They're making their way towards this large table. I want to scream at them, go somewhere else, find some other table. I need space, space, people. I want quiet so I can hear my thoughts, write them down, recover from the kitchen war. But the whole place is a cacophony of clinking and clanking, spoons on metal, hot steam churning out of machines for lattes, the barista chirping, do you want that toasted? Oh, okay, extra hot? The cashier dings with each transaction. I hear every slide at the drawer, in and out, in and out. The radio blares, the orders at the counters keep coming. I just can't seem to get a break anywhere. I hate my husband right now. Last night he declared to me how much he likes himself, just as he is. Well, I wonder if he likes himself today because I don't, Mr. Fucking Enlightened. If he's so enlightened, why does he still fight with his wife? Clearly, she's not enlightened. That must be it. He thinks all the drama is my fault. I know he does. He thinks I'm just on some hormonal rage and that I'm in the phase of life where all the hormones are running wild like untamed horses. Nothing is predictable. Those people who join my table, they're all chit chat and taste my scone. I am ready to rip their heads off from their bodies and leave guts and blood on the table so that no one else will sit there. Don't fuck with me today, people. I think he was right. All right, so now, since many of you I know from yoga, right? Many of you I know from yoga, this, you may have been in one of these classes, so here we go. My life has been taken over by yoga, studying yoga, practicing yoga, teaching yoga, 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 yoga. And yet I resist the cleansing part of the yoga path. You know, or maybe you don't, how the yogis cleanse the body, fast, and clean out their internal organs. I don't want to do that. But I have to admit my belly has been bloated and gassy for years with sharp pains that release rotten egg smelling church sneakers. It's so embarrassing, especially if I'm in a crowd. I don't know why I have so much gas. I thought it was normal, that everyone who ate a healthy diet was gassy and bloated. No, it's me. These putrid smelling farts are wicked. And I have no idea when one might silently slide out and gas the room. It's scariest when I'm stuck in places like at a concert, in a group at a museum, or on a train. Worse, in bed with my lover. My worst nightmare is to have them quietly sneak out and bomb the room while I'm teaching, while I'm demonstrating a twist or an arm balance. And of course, it's happened. I remember one class in particular. The room was crowded. Everyone was in a standing pose, and I could feel the sharp pain in my belly indicating an imminent explosion. I quickly moved myself to the farthest corner in the front of the room and loudly offered instructions. Reach through the inner arm, out through the tip of the middle finger. I kept moving myself as far away as I could from anyone in the front row and instructed them into downward dog as quickly as I could so they were no longer looking at me. Then, out it came. Horrible odor. I practically had to hold my own nose. I prayed no one smelled it, but how could they not? And let's take child's pose, I continued, hoping they would bury their own noses in their knees. I can't deny it anymore. I have a gut issue. Something is seriously wrong, and I have to investigate. I don't want to be the constant bringer of nasty smelling church sneakers wherever I go. Not to mention, it's a super buzz killer for my sex life. But even more, I can no longer deny that this is not normal. I decide to take the plunge and sign up for my first cleanse, which means no sugar, no gluten, no cocktails, no smoking. Don't tell anyone, but I still smoke 1 or 2 cigarettes a day. It helps with the gassy belly, seriously. Well, basically, no fun. I'm in. I'll try it. See how I feel. So with that, we have to go to India. So this is an India story. And oh my goodness, time's ticking. So I'm going to read this one, and then I'll read a poem, and then we'll pause. So this is India. It's a little long. I stand at the desk in the hotel lobby, relieved to have arrived in India after nearly 24 hours of travel, ready for a deep sleep. My eyelids feel like lead weights. I can barely keep them open. Hello, madam, says the sprightly young man behind the counter. Checking in? Yes, I'm so glad to be here at last. Welcome, madam. I'll need your passport and credit card, and then we can get you to your room. I reach down to unzip the pant pocket where I keep my passport. Nothing. I dig around in the pocket some more. Nothing. I pat down my other pant leg. Still nothing. My heart begins to flutter. Just a moment. I thought it was in my pant pocket. I'll get it. I search through my bag in the obvious places, outer zipped pocket, inner zipped pocket, still nothing. My heart is beating faster. There are people waiting behind me, so I tell Ranjit I will look through my bag and be back in a moment. I find a place to sit down so I can look through every crevice of my bag with its multiple zipped pockets. I must have put it in some random place in my tired state. Still, nothing. I can feel myself moving towards panic. I feel a surge of adrenaline kick in, and now I am wide awake. Think, Diane, think. Where did you pull out your passport after you landed? I think hard. Okay. I got in line to pay for the taxi to get here. I didn't need my passport then. I know. It was in some little stall where I got a new SIM card. Yes, that was it. I shut my eyes and remember the man saying, "Passport, madam," and me pulling it from my pants pocket to give it to him. I run up to the desk. Ranjit, we have a problem. I say, using the plural form to hopefully engage him in the treasure hunt. I know where it is. I left it at a shop in the airport where you buy SIM cards. I have the man's number. How do we get it back? I am praying that Ranjit will help me take mercy on this tired, silly American who's carelessly let the most precious item she needs out of her sight. Ranjit, can you call him to see if the passport is there? He takes the number and dials. In the meantime, my mind races like a wild horse with thoughts of my passport being sold on the black market, like they describe in the book Shantaram. How thieves are poised to purloin passports and make a killing in the underbelly world, and an American passport. My mind wanders to the bleak possibility of not having it returned, having to go straight to the embassy, not getting room, worse, having to turn around and go home, not being able to do this trip I'd planned and get all cleaned out doing panchakarma. I hear Ranjit speaking to the man, and then he says, "Yes, madam, he has your passport." I practically jump over the counter to hug this young man. Really? Okay, so how do we get it back? What do we do now? He tells me the hotel has a driver going to the airport and he will pick it up and bring it to the hotel. I can feel my whole body soften. Madam, the driver will go and you can wait over there on the couch until he returns. Okay, thank you so much. I sit on the couch, sleep shoved aside by the adrenaline rush. I feel hopeful, but not relaxed. My mind mulls over possibilities. The SIM card seller might decide to not hand it over. The driver could decide to keep it or sell it. I draw on my nearly 20 years of yoga and meditation practice and remind myself there is nothing I can do now except breathe. I sit quietly, shut my eyes, and focus on my inhales and exhales. The slow breaths begin to relax me. I feel myself resting into the present moment right here in this lobby. There is nothing I can do except wait, and I choose to do so calmly. I visualize the driver bringing me the passport and placing it in my palm. I see myself placing a large tip in his palm as a gesture of gratitude. I keep the breath flowing in and out. Oodles of people roll through the reception area to check in as I wait. I continue breathing, visualizing. And then it happens. The driver comes in, speaks to Ranjit, who points to me. He comes my way, hands me the passport with a big grin, knowing he has done a good deed. In return, I gratefully and discreetly fold American dollars into his palm, then bring my own palms together at my heart and bow, thanking him from the bottom of my heart. When I approach the desk to talk to Ranjit, I'm equally grateful to this enthusiastic man who willingly entered the passport drama and helped me recover the document that would then allow me to stay in the country and continue my journey. I hand him a hefty tip, which he initially refuses until I impress upon him the importance of his role and the importance of me retrieving that passport. He checks me in, gives me the key card, and I trundle off to my room, delighted, exhausted. I smile in part for the presence of mind I was able to find while facing what felt like a disastrous possibility, and for the wily ways of India and its magic. Okay, I'm going to read one poem, and then I'm going to go back to gallery and we can do a little Q&A or talking together. So this is from last year. This is when I had COVID, and this was what I got. So it's called Rest in the Trough. If you rest there in the trough and keep your energy, watch branches shape shift at dusk, Listen for night's new voices that whisper wise words for your heart to hear. You know, then, where to expend your efforts, how to spend your time. Time. Moments that slip through cracks like water through a sieve. It becomes clear what to hold in your awareness, how to offer space, how to speak kind words, and exist with all that is. You become clear and life flows through you like the river runs the gauntlet of the valley, bubbling, gushing, gentle, fierce and dangerous all at once. Yes, if you rest in the trough, you become the clarity through which all life flows. Oh, look at you guys. All right, I'm coming back to gallery. Oh, Karen Glazer. Oh, Kelly Morrow. Hello, Lee Evans. So people who popped in after I started. Hello, lovely. So beautiful, Laura Fenster. So I just want to say thank you for bearing witness and listening and being here with me. This is, as I've said, there's 108 of these stories that I'm putting together really as a journey. It's obviously my journey through the layers of life that have shaped me and been sort of it's like, we walk through our own journey to find the medicine for ourselves. So I just want to open it up if any of you have questions about anything or any reflections or any thoughts or questions about the process. I'm open to anything. And I would say use the down there's reactions. There's the hand raising you can do. That might be the easiest. So down in the right. Oh, thank you, Kelly. I'm seeing. Thank you guys for your, oh, that's Melissa, got it. Yay. Thank you for your comments. Ann Meyer, let's take your, yes, unmute yourself.
It's more of a process issue or question. Like, did you write them chronologically? How did I
do it? What's the
did you gather the stories? Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question. And I really encourage these kind of questions. So here's the thing. These are stories. So I have been journaling since I've been 10. So that is like 5 decades. And what I've done, Anne, is, some of the journals are just like the journals that are sort of the boring blah, blah, blah journals. But a lot of my journals are writing practice kind of journals. And I actually mined a lot of my journals. So I would go back and read them. And then I would pull that to jog my memory and write the story. Yeah. And they're all about, they're between, like, a short one would be 300 words. And then a long one is about 900 words, but definitely a lot of like rewrite. That's a great question.
I have one follow-up question. Since they're from your journals, and I know you have art in your journals, are there going to be art pieces to accompany the stories?
Oh my God. It's so funny you say that. See, here's the issue I have. Yeah, so that's a great question. So this is like one of my, the art journals. These are actually not the journals I've mined. I have those, those composition notebooks, the black and white ones. Those I've just been doing writing in, just straight up writing. So I don't think in this book I'm going to have art. I think that's going to be in another book. But yeah, I think that's going to be a book with art and poetry. Yeah, thank you. Other people have questions? Yes. Oh, look. Okay, Barbara Barza. Let's ask to unmute you.
So where can we get this book?
Okay, Okay, that is awesome. Well, first of all, I'm not quite done, and thank you for that question. Well, I'm looking for an agent or a publisher. I have to investigate the whole next chapter of how to do this, but I will let you know. Oh, and here's something I want to ask your opinion, all of you. A friend of mine here, Lorette, she had this idea that these would be good podcast stories. So I'm thinking of putting them in a podcast where you can listen. Would you guys are like, yes on this idea? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes, that's a definite yes. Okay. Thank you. So Barbara, do you feel done on that question? You have more question?
Yeah, no, just let us know. It was beautiful. And I think having an audio version that you record with your expressions would be really good. What about getting on that NPR slam thing, where you story slam, where you get up and tell stories?
Well, yeah, listen, if you all know,
so good.
Tell me, email me, because this is where I feel like as a community, we really help each other, because I'm really good at content, but I sort of suck at the whole getting things out in the world. So that's where, I'm open to the help. If you have ideas, I can do it if I know what to do. So thank you.
We'll do community marketing.
Okay, and if there are places you think I could read, I'm totally down. I just don't know of them. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Barbara. It's great to see you. And Wendy, question.
Well, I'm right there with several people that have asked if you're going to do an audiobook, and I love the idea of podcasts also. I know that there's an independent podcaster group right in Oakland. Yeah, I can't remember the name right now, but he does a lot of stuff, and he's independent. He's not like,
Well, send me info if you have it. But
yeah, let me see if I can pull that out and yeah, but just the stories are amazing. I mean, I can identify with parts of all of them, and your reading of them is amazing, and your way with words, you definitely got something from your dad.
I do feel like, there's something, like, as much as I love the visual, there's something, I love them all, the movement and the visual and the writing, it's an interesting dialogue. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thanks for being here. Anybody else have a question? Oh, yes. Oh, no, that's you. Oh, Alex. Yes. Let's see. There you go. You got to unmute yourself. There we go. Hi.
Beautiful job. I'm wondering why you chose the number 108. Was it like that's how many you have to tell, or and where are you in the process? What number? How many of you finished?
Right. Okay. So you might have missed the beginning. So 108 is the number of beads in a mala, which,
oh yes, you did say that. Sorry.
Sort of prayer beads.
Yes. Okay. I forgot that.
So that's but it's a great question, and I have that in the introduction, and then I am at 86, and I was. I took a little break over the holidays. I was hoping to be done at the end of last year, but I took a little break. And Anne Meyer, your thought, it's so funny. So most people are like, are you going to put artwork in there? And I do see a different work with poetry, but I think, do you all know the book Comfortable with Uncertainty by Pema Chodron? That is 108 teachings in the Buddhist tradition. And so it's kind of like that. It's like a small book. And this is how I imagine this book. Like, you might go to the bathroom and read a story. And you can just open them anywhere, even though there will be some sequencing to it. And I have a question for you, because like the reason it feels, it's sort of this strange thing to put out the stories of your own life. But I feel like the reason I'm doing them is I have some ability to feel so deeply and then to describe that experience. And I feel like we all go through all these different pieces of feelings, and to know that we're not alone. That's really sort of the basis of this. It's like, we are not alone. Like, we are just all going through some human experience, and it's full of the highs and the lows. Yeah. Thank you, Alex. You good on that? Oh, and Greg. Okay, I'm gonna go to Greg. Greg Durst, hello.
Good evening. It's nice to see you, Diane.
Good to see
The introduction that you read tonight,
you.
are you wanting that to be the introduction to your 108 stories?
I was thinking that. How did you hear
So
it?
the only thing that I was left with was, I want to know who this person is as I'm reading her 108 stories.
Mhm.
Your introduction was still a little bit vague. So I couldn't get my head around, you're this person living here with these dogs, and here's your history. I think maybe that way I'd be able to sort of relate to your stories better.
Okay, that's great feedback. Like, and I am interested if any of you, you could email me too if you have thoughts. Because I'm really interested in, Kelly's saying like a prologue. Like, who am I? Because maybe it's a little too abstract, sort of told in the story form. So give a little more, what I'm hearing is more concrete, like, who are you? Oh, and Catherine Porter. Yeah, thank you. Good to see you. You feel complete? I'm going to go to Catherine.
Yes.
Okay. Catherine.
Yeah, well, a couple things. One is this comment from Greg made me wonder, when were these stories written? Was it all just in the last year, looking back at when you were 7, or looking back when you were at 9? So when you're writing these, you were different people, right? I mean, you were different. So that's, so that's really interesting, that the fact that you're presenting these stories and they're representing, some of them in real time, who you are right then. I don't know, are some of these, did you write them when you were 9 years old and did the...
Well, no, no.
I was saying, we're really ahead of your time.
But I'm trying to write them in the present moment.
Right, in the present that way. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like there's a power of the present tense. Like, I've written some in the past tense, and it's like, it's not quite the same. You know what? I just acknowledge the time. So
So really quick, it's sort of adding on to what Greg said. It might be helpful or useful to just a couple of sentences mention, some of these were written when I was sick with COVID. Some are, represent sort of real time, how I was thinking about at that time, and some are looking back. I don't know. And one last thing, you're hilarious. You're hilarious.
Okay.
I was just cracking up.
Oh, that's good to know.
And especially the way you tell them, and you're just yourself. And your serious pieces are lovely too, but I think it's harder to be funny actually than to be serious.
Wow, so, interesting. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to acknowledge that we're right here at a little couple minutes after 6, and I'm happy to stay a little longer. But I do want to tell you all something before we go, because, one of the things I've tried to do is to be more normal. I don't know if any of you have tried that, but I've tried to be more normal. And, like the whole fact that I've never really been able to do the job thing in a normal way. It's been a slight chip on my shoulder, just own that, right? But then I realized, I just have my own way. So I was talking to Greg earlier this year about trying to teach in the corporate world. And I'm just like, I'm just too I don't think they'll, like, I just can't put myself in the box. So what I'm doing is I have created and I'm telling you all this before I sort of announce it to my whole group of people. I have put together a creative process immersion for next year to work with a committed group of people. Many of you know and have worked with me in committed groups. And it's the exploration of the creative process using writing, visual art, and movement, and the interplay of those expressive arts, and being in an incubator with other people, me as the facilitator. And then we're going to go through the pillars of the creative process according to me. But I mean, according to me, over 35 years of exploration. So I'll send you information if any of you is interested in knowing more about it or having a conversation. I would love to invite you in, because it's going to be rich. The group is forming. It starts in late February, but it's what I realize is I keep having to, but I sort of keep creating my own way of living in the world. And because I don't know, I just can't do spreadsheets. So, oh, there's Susan Biddle. Look at this.
Diane, normal is a setting on the dryer.
That is quotable. You need to write that down, Anna.
I did. I put it in the chat and you didn't see it. So I'm interrupting you now.
Okay.
Normal is a setting on the dryer.
Oh, great.
That's